Flying can be a real headache. Between the cramped seats, the long security lines, and the unpredictable delays, it sometimes feels like you're fighting for survival just to get to your destination. And if you're really unlucky, the stress of flying can bring out the worst in people, turning a simple flight into a nightmare. Today on the Speak Outstanding English video podcast, we're reading about one of those nightmare scenarios. An article about a woman who was harassed and even assaulted by a couple who sat behind her. What sparked this awful behavior? She merely reclined her seat. As I go through today's article, I'll point out useful vocabulary and expressions that will help you on your journey to English fluency. In addition, you can find links to the original article and a PDF study guide of today's lesson in the description of this video. Our article is titled Cathay Pacific Bans Couple After Seat-Reclining Spat. This article was written by CNN's Jack Guy and Joyce John. So right here in the title, we have the useful verb ban. To ban means to prohibit or forbid. This couple is banned or not allowed from flying on any Cathay Pacific flight in the future because of their seat-reclining spat. So when a seat is reclined, it is tilted back to make sitting more comfortable. And of course, when you do this, it means the person behind you has less space. This seat reclining was the reason for their spat. The word spat has a few meanings, but in this case, it means a petty argument or fight. When we call something petty, we mean that it isn't important. If you use petty as an adjective to describe someone, you are saying that that person cares too much about unimportant things and are unkind. Our article begins, Hong Kong-based airline Cathay Pacific has banned 2 passengers from its flights after an argument over seat reclining etiquette descended into xenophobic insults. The word etiquette refers to the rules or polite ways of behaving in social situations. It's about knowing what is considered respectful and appropriate, like saying please and thank you, or how to behave at a dinner table. For example, we could say if you are healthy and young, it's good etiquette to offer your seat to someone who is in poor health, elderly, or pregnant. This next example says, putting your elbows on the dinner table is considered poor etiquette by some people. Some Westerners, not me, but others, think that putting one's elbows on a table is rude. It goes back to the Middle Ages where if you were at a crowded banquet table, if you put your elbows on the table, it would invade the space of the person next to you. After that, we have the phrasal verb descended into, which is the past tense of descend into. Descended into means that a situation got worse, often in a dramatic way. It describes how things change from being calm and controlled to being chaotic or unpleasant. For example, we could say the meeting started well, but quickly descended into an argument. You'll find that descend into often goes with or collocates with the following nouns: descend into chaos, anarchy, madness, despair, and violence. Lastly, in this paragraph, I've highlighted the adjective xenophobic and the noun insults. Xenophobic insults are hurtful or mean things said about people from other countries. Xenophobia is the fear or dislike of people who are different or foreign. And using insults like this is a way of showing hatred towards others based on where they come from. Our article continues, the incident occurred during a flight from Hong Kong to London on September 17th, and a female passenger from mainland China recounted her experience in a video posted on Xiaohongshu, Little Red Book, China's version of Instagram. Recount can mean to count something again. But here, recount means to describe or tell someone about something that happened in the past, usually in detail. It's like telling a story, but usually with more focus on the facts or the sequence or order of events, often in a detailed or serious way. For example, we could say, he recounted how he escaped the burning building, meaning that he gave a lot of details and told his story in the order that the events happened. Recount is similar to tell, but it more focuses on a detailed retelling of the past events. Continuing, the lady sitting behind me asked me to put my seat up because it was blocking her husband's view of the TV. I politely declined, and she started stretching her feet onto my armrest, kicking my arm, and cursing at me like crazy, she said. Cursing refers to the act of using offensive, vulgar, or profane language, swear words, often as a way to express anger or frustration. In some informal settings, cursing can be used humorously or to emphasize a point, but it is considered inappropriate in formal settings. The phrase "like crazy" is an informal expression used to describe doing something with a lot of energy, intensity, or enthusiasm. It means to do something very quickly or with great passion. For example, we could say, "She was running like crazy to catch the bus." This means she was running very fast. Or, "I love ice cream and I eat it like crazy in the summer." In these examples, "like crazy" adds emphasis to how fast or how much someone is doing something. Back to our reading. A flight attendant attempted to mediate by suggesting the woman raise her seat, but she refused, and the situation escalated. The verb mediate means to help settle a disagreement or conflict between two or more people by acting as a neutral third party. To be a neutral third party means that you are there to listen to both sides and bring them to an agreement, but what makes you neutral is that you don't have any personal, financial, or official interest in the dispute or the argument. When someone mediates, they listen to both sides and try to find a solution that everyone can agree on. This is something the flight attendant tried to do, but wasn't successful. I've also highlighted escalate, which is a verb that means to increase in intensity or seriousness. It is often used to describe a situation that becomes worse or more intense over time. For example, we could say, "If we don't fix our leaky roof now, it could escalate into a bigger problem." So maybe right now, there's a small leak in your roof. Water comes into your house when it rains, but it's not such a big deal right now. But if you don't fix it, it could escalate or become a much larger problem later. Next here it says, "When the female passenger realized my Cantonese wasn't so great, she started throwing around some nasty comments, calling me a mainland girl and other derogatory stuff," the woman said. People from Hong Kong speak mainly Cantonese, whereas mainland Chinese mainly speak Mandarin. The phrase "throw around nasty comments" means to say negative, hurtful, or insulting things about someone or something in a careless manner. It suggests that the comments are not only unkind, but also made without much thought as to how they might affect others. Next here, I've highlighted derogatory. This is an adjective used to describe words, remarks, or terms that are disrespectful, insulting, or belittling towards someone or something. When something is called derogatory, it means that it is meant to put someone down or show a lack of respect to that person. Things are heating up between these passengers. Once I started recording, the husband behind me even shoved his hand on my armrest and started shaking it like crazy. "I felt my personal space had been completely violated," added the woman, who said other passengers then intervened. Here I've highlighted personal space, which is a noun that refers to the physical area surrounding a person that they consider their own. It is the distance that people feel comfortable keeping between themselves and others. For example, we could say, "He felt uncomfortable when the person standing in line behind him stood too close, invading his personal space." Everyone has different preferences for personal space, and it can vary depending on the culture, situation, or the individual. Also here we have the verb "to violate," which means to break a rule, law, or agreement. It can also mean to disrespect someone's rights or space. Finally, in this paragraph, we have the verb "to intervene," which means to become involved in a situation in order to help or change what is happening. When someone intervenes, they step in and offer to help, or resolve a conflict, or to prevent something from happening. For example, we could say, "She decided to intervene when she saw her friend being bullied." So in this case, she is becoming involved and trying to help her friend rather than just watch and let her friend continue to be bullied because, after all, that's what friends do. Our article continues. In footage of the incident uploaded by the woman, a female voice can be heard saying in Mandarin, "You're old enough. Why are you bullying such a young girl?" And others can be heard shouting in Cantonese, "You're embarrassing us Hong Kongers. And stop saying you're from Hong Kong." After some passengers spoke up for me, the flight attendant finally said I could switch seats. I felt it was absurd. What if no one had backed me up? Would I have just been left to deal with it on my own? The passenger said. Here I've highlighted 3 useful phrasal verbs. The first is to speak up for someone. This means to support or defend that person, especially when they are being treated unfairly or when their voice is not being heard. When you speak up for someone, you are helping them in a situation where they might not feel comfortable doing it by themselves. Our next phrasal verb, to back someone up, means to support or help someone, especially in a difficult situation or when they are facing challenges. When you back someone up, you are showing that you are willing to help defend their actions or decisions. For example, we could say, I appreciate it when my friends back me up in tough situations. Some situations are hard to handle by yourself, so it's helpful to have a friend to help you. And our third phrasal verb here, to deal with something, is to take action in order to achieve something or in order to solve a problem. So as it's used here, deal with it is an informal phrase, and this means to accept a situation or problem and handle it. We use this expression when talking about situations that are difficult or undesirable. If there's a difficult situation and someone says to deal with it, it suggests that you should confront or manage the issue rather than avoid or complain about it. For example, we could say, life can be hard sometimes, but you just have to deal with it. Because simply being sad or angry about something isn't going to make it better. You need to deal with it. Continuing, as a major airline, isn't Cathay supposed to know how to handle such disputes? Shouldn't treating passengers differently get some consequences? In a statement released Saturday, Cathay Pacific said it wanted to sincerely apologize for the unpleasant experience. First off here, we have the word dispute, which can be a verb or a noun. Here it's a noun, and this refers to a disagreement or conflict between 2 or more people. Next, the collocation sincerely apologize. This means to express a genuine and heartfelt apology to someone for a mistake, for an offense, or for hurt caused. When someone says they sincerely apologize, they are saying that they truly regret and feel sorry about their actions and are taking responsibility for the impact those actions had. For example, we could say, I sincerely apologize for missing your birthday party. I should have let you know I couldn't make it. You'll see companies use this a lot when giving official statements after something bad or embarrassing happens. Next it says, we maintain a zero-tolerance policy for any behavior that violates aviation safety regulations or disrespects the rights of other customers, the airline said. We will deny future travel on any Cathay Group flights to the 2 customers involved in this incident. A zero-tolerance policy is a strict approach to dealing with certain behaviors or actions that are considered unacceptable. If a workplace or a school has a zero-tolerance policy, it means that this particular rule is very strict and that the punishment for breaking this rule is very severe, and it doesn't matter who you are, there are no exceptions for breaking this rule. For example, this factory enforces a zero-tolerance policy on alcohol use. Employees found drinking or working under the influence will be terminated immediately. As there's heavy machines in most factories, being drunk or intoxicated can be very dangerous, so it makes sense that this factory would have a zero-tolerance policy about alcohol use. If you're drunk or you're drinking on the job, you'll get fired. Finally, I highlighted aviation safety regulations, which refer to the set of rules and regulations established to ensure the safety and security of air travel. Our article continues. While the incident adds to the long-running and often heated debate over the etiquette around reclining seats on planes, it also highlights tension between people from the Chinese mainland and Hong Kongers, the result of differing political views and cultural identities, and fueled by the 2019 pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. The term long-running is an adjective used to describe something that has been in existence, operation, or continuing for a long period of time. A heated debate refers to a discussion or argument that is intense and filled with strong emotions, often characterized by passionate disagreements. In a heated debate, people express their opinions strongly. Next up, the collocation highlights tension refers to the act of drawing attention or bringing someone's attention to or emphasizing the presence of a conflict, stress, or disagreement between individuals or groups. When someone highlights tension, they make the issues or feelings of unease more visible or noticeable. Next here we have fueled by. When something is fueled by a particular influence, it indicates that this influence plays a significant role in shaping or intensifying a situation or feeling. So in this case, the strong feelings these passengers had were fueled by the 2019 protests. They are acting more intensely because of this quite recent conflict. Continuing, the woman later posted a follow-up video in which she said she thought the incident was an isolated case and a personal issue. It doesn't need to be blown out of proportion. Whether on the plane or online, many Hong Kongers came to help and support me. There are still plenty of nice people in the world, she added. Here I highlighted the expression, to blow out of proportion. Now this means to exaggerate a situation or to make something seem much more serious, important, or larger than it actually is. When someone blows something out of proportion, they often amplify its significance, leading to misunderstandings or unnecessary drama. Our article continues. However, Cathay, Hong Kong's flag carrier, has got into hot water with Chinese authorities in the past. Some of its staff took part in the 2019 protests, leading to a backlash from the Chinese government. And this is not the first incident involving alleged anti-Chinese discrimination on board a Cathay flight. A flag carrier refers to an airline that is owned and operated by a country's government or national authority and typically represents the country in international air travel. Flag carriers often have a significant presence in their home country's aviation market and are recognized as the official airline of that nation. The idiom to get into hot water means to get into trouble or to face difficulties, often as a result of one's actions or decisions. When someone is said to be in hot water, they are in a situation where they are likely to face criticism, consequences, or problems. Next up, to take part in something means to participate or be involved in an activity, an event, or a situation. When someone takes part in something, they are actively engaged in or contributing to it. Over here, we have the noun backlash. A backlash is a strong negative reaction or response to an event, decision, or a change, often involving criticism or opposition. It usually indicates that a group of people or individuals are dissatisfied or unhappy with something and express their unhappiness, which can lead to further consequences. Finally, here we have the noun discrimination. Discrimination refers to the unfair treatment of individuals or groups based on certain characteristics, such as race, gender, age, religion, disability, or sexual orientation. As a verb, it's discriminate, and as an adjective, it's discriminatory. Wow, 3 vocabulary words for the price of 1. Our article concludes, in May 2023, the airline said it had fired 3 cabin crew members after a passenger from mainland China complained of discrimination. In a statement announcing the dismissals, Cathay Pacific CEO Ronald Lam said he would personally lead a task force to improve service and avoid similar incidents in the future. We need to ensure that all Cathay Pacific employees must at all times respect customers from different backgrounds and cultures, and that we provide quality service consistently across all markets that we serve, he said. Here, the term dismissal refers to the act of officially firing someone or removing someone from a position, a job, or responsibility. It can also mean the rejection of a proposal, idea, or a request. In this case, these people were fired. As a verb, it's dismiss. They were dismissed from their jobs. Next up, a task force is a group of individuals brought together to work on a specific project or to address a particular issue. Sometimes when an issue comes up, a company will form a task force to come up with solutions to the problem. Lastly, we have the verb ensure, which means to make certain or guarantee that something will happen or be the case. When you ensure something, you take steps to confirm or secure a particular outcome, making it more likely to occur. Be sure to download the lesson notes in the description of this video. If you have any questions about any of the content covered today, don't hesitate to ask them in the comments. See you in the future!